In the first part of the book of Acts, I guess all the way through up to chapter 6, 7, along in there, they're still in Jerusalem, and many are being added to them day by day as they preach the gospel and they told about Jesus and all of that. But it says that they had everything in common. They had a sort of a what's mine is yours and yours is mine attitude, and I guess they it seems like maybe they had these storehouses they stored stuff in and they would distribute it among the people, and there come a complaint. You have this many thousands of people together, there's going to come complaints. Don't care how full of the spirit you are, there's going to flesh is going to get in the way and people are going to complain, people are going to be overlooked, and it takes organization. So their solution to this complaint that the widows, the daily distribution of the widows was being overlooked, was to find 7 men to. It seems like they needed 7 men to put together different ways and sort of spearhead um, how to how to distribute the food properly amongst themselves, if you will. But one of those people, one of the 7, was a man by the name of Stephen, and we read about him how he disputed with it says, a certain synagogue, the synagogue of the freedmen, about Jesus being the Christ and all, and it tells us a big long, I guess, speech he gives them in chapter 7. He tells them basically, for the first half of it, 500 years worth of history in their Bible. The Old Testament is what we call it now, from Abraham to Moses. He speaks about everything that had happened. Then he would briefly mention the next, I guess, 15, 1600 years, somewhere around in there, later, from Moses to Jesus. And he talks about how they persecuted the prophets, how their fathers persecuted the prophets, and in the same way that they had killed the one that the Old Testament actually spoke about, which was the Messiah. And they didn't like that. They didn't like that. Matter of fact, when he told them that, it says he actually told them, "You stiff neck and uncircumcised in heart, you always resist the Holy Spirit. As your fathers did, so do you." And he speaks about the prophets being killed by their fathers and Jesus being killed by them. Um, and it actually says on down a little bit, it says, when he told them that in verse 57, it says, they cried with a loud voice and they stopped their ears. They didn't want to hear it. They did not want to hear it. And, you know, the Bible also tells us in the last days there would be people that, you know, resisted the Holy Spirit. And I guess we've resisted the Holy Spirit for many, many years. It says, though, we would have a form of godliness but deny his power. And you see this right here, you see the religious people, per se, of the day, the synagogue of the freedmen, the people in the temple, beginning to persecute them. And if you read on, you'll see how they were spread out. They were run off, basically run away from the temple area and all of that. But it's interesting to me how they didn't want to hear it. They really, they didn't just not only not want to hear it, they really didn't want to hear it, to the point where they was actually killing folks. um and we're speaking of having a form of godliness but denying its power. We're really not too far away from that now. I mean, we go and we want to pray. There's a lot of people that won't even go to church now because they they know something's not quite right. Of course, there's never going to be a perfect place with imperfect people. I understand that, but as far as um, having a form of godliness but denying His power and resisting the Holy Spirit, um, try to go and pray. Try to go and really be sold out for Christ. You'll find that you're going to be called radical. You're going to be left out of certain crowds. And many people just do not go to church for that very thing. Well, let me change your perspective on that just a little bit. It's clear right here that God's will is for us to act upon the power and of the Holy Spirit. It's not God's fault what man does. So perhaps He may be just calling you in your discontent, me in my discontent, to actually stand up against those things just the same way as Stephen did. Maybe He's even calling us to call people out of their comfort zones just the same way as Stephen's doing right now. Will you make people mad? Will they get upset? Well, of course, yeah. I just wanted to jog your mind a little bit, jog your spirit a little bit, in hopes that I can stir you up to stand up for what you know is right. If you think the Spirit is calling you to pray, speak more about Him, do whatever, do it. Have a good day.